Yeah? No? Hello. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's really good to be with you. It's really good to be with you in this space in our Beit Midrash. It's good to be celebrating our bar mitzvah student who is being called to the Torah for tomorrow morning. Alex, let's give a little love to Alex Siegel. Yes. And to the entire Siegel clan who is here to celebrate Shabbat with us. And we're going to begin with words from our psalmists. Hine Matov, how good and sweet it is that all of us braved the rain outside so that we could be in here together.
Hine Matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. We're on page 10. Hine matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manaim, shevet achim gam yachad.
So we are right smack in the middle of the month of Elul. This is the final month in our Hebrew calendar, which helps us to prepare for the new year, which is coming upon us very soon. And so I wanted to share these words from my rabbi, Rabbi Richard Levy of blessed memory, to help us think perhaps about our own inner work that we want to do leading up to these holy days. Before I go to the market, this was before COVID, when people went to the market, I like to make lists. I look in the cupboards, see what is missing in short supply, or might add some delight to our family's life. Once in the market, I find my list helps me to avoid overlooking anything and being distracted by attractions on every side. In Elul, the month preceding Rosh Hashanah, I do the same thing. I take out my pocket calendar, or my iPhone, look through every day of the waning year, and reflect on each day's events. Where did I fall short? What was missing in my actions? On what good qualities was I running low? What new actions would add some holiness to my life? I bring the list to Slichot, which takes place next Saturday night, and to services on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and I compare its items to the specific sins in the Al Chet prayer. I remember the circumstances of each chet, each mark that I missed. Is a synagogue like a market? When I buy a fatty dessert in the market, there's no counter voice to the colorful packaging. But in the synagogue, shelves of books and of Torah scrolls remind me of the desirable deeds and qualities God has placed within my grasp and the consequences of ill-thought actions. On these holy days, there really is no turning aside, because in the synagogue, God is right here with me. When I confess an avon or a chet, a transgression, God directs me straight to the desired mark. Embracing me, the Holy One shows me how the path would look had I straightened rather than twisted. So I invite us to do our own inner reflection as we move through our prayers on this Shabbat. And we're going to begin with Yedid Nefesh. Again, welcoming in that relationship with whatever it is you believe is holy and bigger than yourself. Page 10.
Yedid nefesh, hav harachaman, hav harachaman. El rid shochavdach, El ritzonecha, El ritzonecha. One more time. Yedid nefesh, hav harachaman, hav harachaman. משוך עבדך אל רצונך, אל רצונך. ירוץ עבדך כמו אייל, ישתחווה אל מול הדרכה. ידיד נפש, אב הרחמן, אב הרחמן. משוך עבדך כמו אל רצונך.
We continue. Lecha Dodi is on page 20. We're going to do verses 1 and 2 on page 20 and 5 on the top of 21 and 9 on the bottom of 21. Please join with us.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, Shem u'tiferet l'tfilah. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor ha'bracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh v'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela.
Top of 21.
Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'orech kumi ori. Uri, uri, shir daberi, k'vod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela.
We rise bottom of 21 and face the entrance.
בואי ושלום עצרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yadada, 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 Bnei Shabbat, mekabela.
Extra points for Glenn and the clapping. Thank you, Glenn. We see you. We are on page 28. Baruch Hu.
Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai, rai,
Let's turn together on the bottom of 31, and let's read in English. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. As we prepare for words of Shema, I always think about, in our Wednesday Hebrew school service, I always ask our students, when is a moment in their lives where they feel like someone has really listened to them? Not just heard them, but where someone has really listened and seen them in a particular moment. And they describe all of these stories, and then we discuss the difference between when someone hears you versus when someone is really listening and seeing the fullness of what your experience is in that moment. And I think with Shema, it's that reminder, that command, that call to listen, that it's, yes, inviting us to be more attentive to one another, to really listen when someone's telling us something, what's behind what they're saying. Is there more than what is happening in that moment? But also to become more attentive to ourselves. And that's something I think we really can do with prayer, which we can listen much more curiously and lovingly to ourselves, to say what's happening in our own hearts. How can we care for ourselves the way we might care for a child, or the way we might care for a beloved or of a best friend? How can we do that same with ourselves on Shabbat? And so as we join together in these words, I invite all of us to think about how we can be listeners to bring some peace into this world, and also to bring some peace, hopefully, for ourselves. We're on page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Ba'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Ba'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. I'm going to invite up Alex to help lead us in the Via Hafta. Come on up, Alex. I have it right here. Okay, Alex, you ready? Do you want to hold this? I'll hold this for you. Okay, ready? Come stand on this side. Okay, ready?
Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lavavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi metzacha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam lanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'veitecha uvletecha v'derech u'shoklecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha letotafot bein einecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisha'arecha Lamont tizkaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'eloheichem. Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzeiti Tem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lahem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Yasher Koach. Let's get some snaps for Alex.
He's definitely ready.
He's ready. At the bottom of page 39, we'll read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores at the sea.
Mi Chamocha is our prayer for keeping alive in dark days a vision of a world redeemed. So when we pray Mi Chamocha together, we hold in mind, what is our vision of a world redeemed? What does that look like? And how can we help to make our vision a reality? Mi Chamocha can be found on page 40. We'll join together. Ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh peled, nora tehilot oseh peled. Malechutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'amru.
Freedom to our experience of safety. And in these times, it feels pretty urgent to think about how we feel safe, both physically, bodily safe, but also spiritually and emotionally safe. And so as we join together in our nighttime prayer, Hashkivenu, we ask that each of us in this community help to make all of us have that feeling of shelter, that all people can have shelter when they go to sleep at night, and that whatever it is that we need to feel safe, that we have access to that as well. So words can be found on your supplemental pages. Please join with us.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, leshalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. shelter us beneath your wings. O Adonai, guard us from all harmful things. O Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Our Amidah, our standing prayer, can be found on page 46. And our Amidah is our chance to really reflect inwardly. We're in this month of Elul right now, where there's so much talk about internal reflection as we prepare for the high holidays, which are coming soon. And our Amidah is a chance where we can have our moment with ourselves, where we can do silent prayer. And so on page 46, we'll rise in all the ways that we are able. We'll recite the first three prayers together as a community, and we'll continue silently with the words on the pages in English and Hebrew, or the meditations of our hearts. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Hastei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi geula livnei v'neihem, Leman shemo be'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel hayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al gevurot umido melach. Melech memit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atal lachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom, Yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh. We're on page 62. Yiyu leratzon imrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Adonai tzuri vegoali Yiyu leratzon imrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Adonai tzuri vegoali May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yiyu leratzon imrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Adonai tzuri vegoali
Earlier this year, a New Yorker earned the praise of the entire city when she turned over a lost wallet that she discovered near Broadway and 49th Street containing more than $4,000 in cash to the police department. Its owner, Eduardo Martinez, breathed a heavy sigh of relief after the police gave him his wallet back, and he publicly thanked his benefactor for her honesty, suggesting that she renewed his hope in the world. All of us have likely misplaced something in our lives, and some of us know that sense of dread and panic. This happens in my house with keys every day, that accompanies losing something valuable to us. And some of us may even know the sense of profound relief that transpires when that valuable is hopefully returned, a feeling that we are commanded to kindle in this week's Parsha, Ki Tetzeh. The text says, if you see someone's ox or sheep gone astray, don't ignore it, you must return it. If the owner doesn't live near you, if you live in the city and they live in the valley, and you don't know who the owner is, then safeguard her livestock until she claims it. You must do the same for her donkey, or her clothes, or anything else that she loses and that you find. You may not ignore it. This is one of 72 different mitzvot that are contained within our parsha, the largest number of mitzvot in any Torah portion, the sum of which fashion the parameters for how we're supposed to relate to one another in an ethical society, within our families, among our neighbors, and with those who are not as fortunate as we are. Yet among these 72 commandments, the command to protect lost property, Hashavat Avedah, stands out for its sheer length of discussion. At first glance, it seems pretty pedestrian. However, few of the mitzvot in our parsha are explored in quite this much detail, and our Talmud devotes 5 whole chapters to exploring 5 whole chapters in the Talmud to exploring the meaning behind this mitzvah. Jewish tradition goes so far as to say that we must return lost property even if it's a burden to us, and even if it belongs to our enemy, frankly, if it belongs to someone that we don't like. Clearly, our ancestors believed that lost property was important, but why do they devote so much time and energy to a seemingly paltry matter? Though I'm sure that we all feel pretty good when someone returns something that we lost, would the fabric of Judaism really be that different or really break down had the Torah just gone with finders keepers? Thanks, Glenn. Well, as you might imagine, according to our tradition, the answer is yes. Not necessarily because Hashavat Avedah is so crucial, but because it's indicative of something far more substantial than reuniting us with our missing animals. Rather, it represents how we respond when we discover others in need. The Torah hints at this connection through the repetition of the word lehit alem, which we translated earlier as ignore. If you see someone's ox or sheep gone astray, lo tucha lehit alem, you must not ignore it. But lehit alem doesn't just mean ignore it. It means to hide from oneself. If you see someone's ox or sheep gone astray, lo lucha lehit alem, you may not hide from yourself. It's a reflexive verb. Because when we hide from ourselves, when we hide from our responsibility to others, we're actually hiding from ourselves. And we know that there are so many reasons to hide. We're tired. We're overworked. We're holding too many responsibilities for too many people. We're holding too many emotions for too many people. We may be experiencing loss or caring for a loved one, or simply just trying to stay above water and take care of ourselves. And whether we're feeling the weight of our own lives or the weight of the world, we have so many reasons to hide from something that on the surface appears as if it really has nothing to do with us. But as the Torah suggests with its word choice, it has everything to do with us. Because we know that when, as medieval commentator Rashi translates, we avert our gaze as if we hadn't seen it, we lose a piece of our humanity. And while I may sound a little dramatic, it's true. When we see another soul in need, we are called to heighten, not silence, that impulse in us to respond. And that's what this law does. It heightens our humanity by reminding us that when we hide from our responsibility, we are hiding from ourselves. We might think that the human impulse is to look away. And we can right now think about all the times that we do this, that we look away, to keep walking from whatever it is that is lost. But I think that's our learned response, not our innate response. One that most of us have become far too good at. But like most things in Jewish tradition, we can cultivate a practice that we can follow over and over again until the value driving it becomes an integrated part of who we are. In his book, Atomic Habits, has anyone read Atomic Habits? Rabbi Scott Goldberg. Yes, thank you, Bob. So this is a great read for the new year. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about, as you can imagine, building habits. He suggests that the quality of our lives depends on the quality of our habits. And so really the secret then is consistency. As our brains build the habits of brushing our teeth, or in my house, turning on the coffee pot or tying our shoes, or whatever it is that is part of your system of habits, we want to intentionally add to that list acts of responsibility towards others and learn to automate that into a habit. Just as we can grow our muscles, our tradition tells us that we can expand our responsiveness to other people. Because if we're honest with ourselves, and this is the season to be honest with ourselves, this past year, all of us at one time or another have turned away from someone else's suffering. We have hidden. We have held on to something that we need to return to others, maybe even to ourselves. And so in this new year, may we return the lost sheep, the lost cow, the lost dog, keys, and also automate our responsibility to each other. And in so doing, rediscover ourselves from all the places that we too often hide. May this be a year of returning to one another. Shabbat shalom. One of the ways that I think we really do take responsibility for each other is by showing up when one of us is in need. And the way that we do that is in part through our Misha Berach prayer. This is the prayer where we recognize people in our community who are struggling and in need of healing, whether that's healing of the body or of the soul or of the mind. And when we recite someone's name out loud, it could even be our own names. We're both calling out to our community that we are in need of help, which takes a level of vulnerability to do. And then as the community, it's on us to not hide, to respond in kind. And so if there's someone that you are thinking of on the Shabbat who is in need of our collective healing prayer, I want to invite you at this time to stand and as my eyes meet yours, to say their name out loud so that we can all hold them and pray for them together. We join together in words of healing, Misha Berach, which can be found in the middle of page 253.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Aleinu can be found on page 282. If you're able, I invite you to please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula leyotzei breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד.
Words to prepare us for Kaddish can be found on page 288. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love does not die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. As we recite Kaddish tonight, we especially remember Wilfred Alter, Lisa Beth Applebaum, Edward Bate, Solomon Bernhard, Sanford J. Bornstein, Ben Brucker, Susan R. Gerson, Jonathan Barry Giesberg, Mitty Giesberg, Samuel William Goldenberg, Arnold Heller, Marion Josephson, Paul Kaufman, Colleen Lenehan, Belle Levin, Freema Marenberg, May Lubo Mosler, Selwyn Pepper, Bess Reagans, Arnold Smith, Herman Elliott Snyder, Ben R. Stein, Paul Andrew Supkoff, Pearl Weinstein, Sylvia Wexler, Martin Widzer, Aaron Wildowski, Dick Williams, Dave Wolf, Ralph Zwain, Leon Judah Shehan, and David Kerr. If there are other names that we should add, or if I mispronounce the name of your loved one, I invite you to please say their name out loud at this time. We also think of all of those who have died as innocent victims of violence and those who have perished protecting our country and protecting our people's ancient home. We rise together as one community for Mortar's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach hirateh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman karev imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach leolam olamei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha berechu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, ta'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'imru
Amen.
Amen. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories truly be for a blessing.
Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom.